This is the Outdoor Adventure Lab, a growing community of brilliant and adventurous minds coming together to educate, stoke, and inspire. This episode is brought to you by the Adventure Mates because we believe that adventure is better together. And with that, let the adventure begin.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Liz Craig, co-founder of the Outdoor Adventure Lab. Today, in episode 2 of our small business segment, we are talking digital marketing in the outdoor industry with 3 local small business leaders: Adam Lewis of Foghorn Labs, Justin Anderson from Cedar Nine Productions, and Chris Pugh with Trew Gear. Your hosts today are co-founders Zan Zerbel and Marshall Yanzik. Take it away, guys.
Thank you, Liz. Stoked to be here and excited to get some insider knowledge from these local digital marketing experts. What about you, Marshall?
Zan, right there with you. We have 3 incredible guests tonight, and I can't wait to dive in. So let's get to it. Adam Lewis is the founder of Foghorn Labs. Adam built Foghorn from the ground up after nearly a decade of marketing work for large corporations in many facets. Now with Foghorn Labs, Adam focuses on kickstarting first-time e-commerce channels and scaling up pre-existing ones, as he has done for Trew.
Justin Anderson is the current creative producer at Cedar Nine Productions. Justin brings a creative genius that will shake up how you think about video production and digital marketing. Not only does he love to adventure, but he is an expert in tasteful, authentic storytelling.
Chris Pugh is the CEO of Trew Gear, based here locally in Portland, Oregon. Chris originally started Trew alongside his brother and fellow business partner in 2009 out of Hood River. Trew started with a goal of designing the best powder bibs for backcountry skiing and is now so much more. An e-commerce only outdoor apparel company, Trew is thriving in an industry of giants, and Chris joins this episode to share with us firsthand how Trew has cultivated this thriving business model. So first up, I want to welcome on Chris. Where you at?
What's up? I'm in Portland.
Well, welcome, and you're freshly back from a trip in the San Juans. How was it?
Yeah, it was great. We went and floated around a bit. Just did a little quarantining in the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
It was an awesome little break.
Yeah. Well, it's great to have you on tonight. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it, and it's going to be great to hear from you. So I think to kick us off tonight, just in regards to Trew and yourself, like, tell us a little bit more about the inspiration behind Trew and what kickstarted this company for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think like a lot of young entrepreneurs, I was pretty naive and I was pretty singularly focused on like one product idea. And for us, that was the Truth Bib. And, I wasn't thinking about a brand or a culture or definitely not e-commerce or digital marketing or anything like that. Our first idea was like, let's make this pant, get it into the local stores that we know really well and see what happens. So we kind of did trial by fire. We talked to about 200 specialty retail stores in 2009, and I think we got 10 of them, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
We got in the door, and then we got a big order from a Japanese distributor that first year that helped us fund that production. But yeah, we were focused on that bib, and I think we were lucky to have that singular focus to kind of inform our design decisions, and still today it's our best selling product, and kind of defines how we think about product design.
So for you, in really launching this, it was really centered around making the best bib. Why a bib?
Yeah, well, so 2009, we would go touring in baggy Burton or Bonfire pants, or we'd be skiing in the resort in like a tight-fitting OR pant or Arc'teryx pant or something. And so that was like kind of a no-brainer to us. We're like, this, like, the bib is clearly the best pant for backcountry skiing and snowboarding, because the reason we backcountry ski is to get into powder. Like that's kind of like the whole goal of exploring mountains and trying to go to a place that no one else has been, and objectively a bib is the best pant for that. And I think like our ethos on the design side was like being really intentional and not designing that product for elite athletes, because we didn't know any elite athletes and we're not elite athletes. And with all respect to our ambassadors now, they're like not elite athletes, and we don't need pants that can, climb K2 or whatever. We just need pants that you can go spring touring at Hood and then go do laps in private reserve. So we saw that resonate with like kind of like the guys that work in the back of the shops, right? Like the ski techs and other reps and people that were pretty engaged in our sport recognized that pan. I don't know, we had pretty good success early on just selling Pro Form right out of the gate.
Your company, it sounds like, has been built by the people for the people. It's that bib is for the everyday backcountry skier. So we got a short film here that Liz is going to pop up for us, just to kind of give us a quick taste of the Trew vibe. It's a lively skier, everyday skier's vibe, and that bib has so much detail to it. And in your history, you guys have tried the retail brick and mortar space, and then transitioned to what is now is an all e-commerce business. Talk to us a little bit about how you've evolved your digital marketing strategy at Trew over the years since starting in 2009.
Well, if you can believe it, in 2009, our original business plan was to be only brick and mortar. We hit the road and we told all these shops that we were going to be selling just into specialty retail. And very quickly, we realized we couldn't get up to volume by going to US, domestic specialty retail. And the main reason for that is I don't think there was many e-commerce companies in the outdoor industry at that point, or even just in general. It was before Instagram, for sure. So we really evolved the way we thought about our business with how can we reach our customers in the most efficient way. And so when we started, the best way to get in front of our customers was by going through those specialty retail channels. And as we grew, we realized that the resources that we needed to continue to sell into specialty retail in terms of independent reps, distributors, and just the overall production volumes, we basically realized that we were trying to compete in this industry by doing the same thing that all these other really big companies are doing. And so once we started thinking about, well, how can we approach our sales and distribution in the same way that we approach product design? Like, how can we present our products differently to our customers so they have a different relationship with our brand? And that was like a really cool experience for me. I've always been on the product design side. And so when you think about designing products in the outdoor industry and having a direct relationship with your customer and getting that feedback and understanding who's buying your product and why they're buying their product, it's an incredible advantage, and it's an incredible experience too, to have that relationship. It comes with all its own challenges that are unique to being an e-commerce company compared to being a wholesale manufacturer. But the ability for us to reach our customers in all their different little groups all over the country and all over the world through digital marketing is just, has never really existed in the history of commerce. And it's pretty cool to be a part of that.
Yeah. So as a part of your Trew story, you mentioned started Trew to make a product that no one else was offering. That perspective evolved into an entire product line and created a brand culture and strive to deliver new products and experiences to the outdoor industry. So it's really interesting to me to hear, like, you've created this phenomenal bib, but now you've created this culture and this community. Talk to us a little bit about like how you've gone about bringing that into the brand culture of what is Trew today.
Yeah, I think that's the crux of our storytelling strategy, is showing people what our products are good for. If you show people what makes bibs so special, you're really just showing them deep powder and people skiing in incredible places. And I think like skiing fresh snow and or snowboarding deep powder and stuff is like this incredible experience that is so universal with people who fall in love with this sport and fall in love with experiences in the mountains. And so it's kind of like the barrel in surfing or any one of these kind of like storied places in action sports, that anyone who has that shared experience is immediately kind of part of the club, right? You've had that experience, you've got the bug, you're in. And so that becomes a way for us to find our people, so to speak, right? Like, digital marketing is all about finding your people and finding your audience. And if we can show an ad that right away can filter our people, if you don't click on that ad that shows some guy getting absolutely barreled and wearing bibs, then like you're probably not going to buy them. And that's great that you don't click on that. We don't really want to show like the suntan guy making the perfect pole plan on the groomer, because that's not exactly who we're selling to, and that person is not going to understand the benefit of our product. And so by showing experiences and talking about experiences, that's like the universal language, I guess, of our customers that they can understand.
Well, it's really good to get to know you here briefly. We're gonna jump over to Justin here in a second, but getting to know you, you love to connect with everybody and learn from the local community as well. What's the best way for people to get in touch with you and connect with you directly?
Yeah, I mean, people can email me. It's just chris@trewgear.com, or on LinkedIn, you can find me somehow. I don't really check much else.
Well, I'm going to hand it over to Zan. Chris, pleasure having you on. Looking forward to getting you back on here later on for the kind of the group discussion. Zan, take it away.
Right on. Justin Anderson of Cedar Nine here. So I'm just going to kick right into it, Justin. You currently are the creative producer for Cedar Nine, which is actually based here in the PDX area. Could you tell us a little about what Cedar Nine is and what your team does?
Yeah, we are a cinematic production company. So what we like to do is create videos that tell stories about brands and about different lifestyles, and try to impact people in an emotional way. It's really kind of what we aim to do.
Right on. So you guys, I'm assuming, do a lot of stuff such as putting together those little snippets as ad campaigns and stuff like that.
That is exactly along the lines of what we do. We work with a bunch of different types of clients, and both in the outdoor industry and outside of the outdoor industry. Actually, really, what we try to focus on is just meeting cool brands and talking with people that we get along with. Like we have shared motivations for doing what we do, and then we just try to create something really awesome out of that. And usually that comes in the form of a cool video or a photo campaign.
Yeah, sounds like a great space to work. Well, let's take a quick moment here to just share with the audience kind of a recent project centered around Cedar Nine, just to give them a taste of kind of the work that you produce. Sweet. That's a perfect example of what you're talking about, doing everything from, food to other products to action sports. You guys kind of dip your toes in everything out there.
Yeah.
I know Marshall, when he was talking to you, you mentioned lifestyle videos a lot. What are these, and what has happened to the days of that high, like in your face brand advertising?
Well, the high in your face, rapid edits and all that kind of stuff, that's still around, and there's a time and place for it. But as we're seeing, brands, especially ones that are involved with social media, are transitioning from being just shooting out marketing campaigns to being distributors of content. To feed your social streams, it takes a lot of work. You need a lot of content, and if you want to have any type of community on there, you need to keep feeding it and feeding it and feeding it. And that's where lifestyle content comes into play. So what a lifestyle video is just basically a day in the life of somebody who uses a product or a service that somebody offers. So in the example that you were showing with Chris's stuff, that's a perfect example of a lifestyle brand. There's no real major story happening. It's more like, oh, hey, these people are out, they're using Trew gear stuff, they're enjoying their time, and this is what it would look like if you were also using that kind of stuff. So really what lifestyle videos are really good for is kind of hitting the emotions that are not necessarily upfront in terms of like buy this now and go use this for shredding this or whatever. People will see the lifestyle stuff and they envision themselves a lot easier in that setting, and they're like, I want to experience that. Then we shoot that kind of stuff.
Sure, yeah. And is there a specific kind of brand or business that is better suited for a lifestyle versus that high brand, and vice versa?
Well, anything with products and services, obviously. Outdoor industry stuff, especially outdoor products, it's perfect. I mean, every outdoor person wants to see that they can rely on the gear. It's built for what it's intended to be used for, and they want to see it in action. And lifestyle videos are one of the ways to do that for sure. And, I think tech videos and stuff that focuses on like how things are built are really important. But if you don't have the balance of, people actually using it in a very real and authentic way, then that message kind of falls flat.
Perfect. Well, you led me right into the next question I was going to ask. You guys do talk a lot about authenticity in your video and photo content. Why do you guys feel it's so important in today's digitally connected world to have that real sense of authenticity?
Well, ad blindness is one of those things. Ad blindness is what you're noticing is people are kind of glazing over ads right now, especially ones on websites and in social media. They're not, looking at these things as long as they used to. They need to be hooked in a little bit more. And having a brand with a voice that's really authentic and speaks to people, and there's just no BS involved in it, is something that can really kind of bypass a lot of the fakeness out there of marketing. And fakeness in marketing, that's kind of like video and photo is all smoke and mirrors as well. But if you're true to who you are and true to who your brand voice is, that just means a lot to people. And instead of a customer who buys like one product, you're going to have a customer for life who believes in your brand and will spread that message for you.
Sure. Yeah, I totally recognize that too, all over the place, where you can really get a feel for something if their video or any sort of content that they produce is really authentic to who they are, or if they kind of are putting on a facade.
Right. And I think with the newer generations that are coming out now, like, people who've spent their entire lives on social media or ingesting digital content, you got to adapt a bit. And I think authenticity is one of those things that's really important to today's customers and consumers and people who they want to know that their money is going to something that's good. And especially in the outdoor industry with people who are more environmentally conscious, and they're probably more mindful about where things are sourced and how they're used and all that kind of stuff. That's where transparency and authenticity really help.
Sure. It seems ever more important in the climate we're living in now, where
totally.
Everything is digital. Now I'll send it back to Marshall here to chat with Adam Lewis real quick before we get down to our discussion segment. Thanks, Justin. We'll be back in the discussion segment here.
Justin, I do want to bring you back on real quickly. We have a question from Jordan Larson coming through to everybody. Kind of what Jordan's asking is, I run a small guide company that's trying to approach a few different issues like the mental health crisis and protecting the environment. I know a video like this would probably send a really powerful message and make an impact, but I expect it wouldn't be in our budget. Are there any other ways or resources that you'd recommend to get a message out that can help us build support for our cause? I think it's a great question from Jordan. Thanks for submitting that.
Yeah, thank you, Jordan.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, thanks. So, that always comes up, especially with video, is like, oh God, it's always so expensive and all that kind of stuff. And really what that boils down to is value. So if people don't quite see the value of video, they're going to be more reluctant to spend money on it and see why it's worth spending that kind of cash on stuff. And with any kind of decent agency, they will work within budgets and kind of say like, okay, you can get this and you can get that. So really it's about having a dialogue with the people that you're working with. Another great way, and I think we're probably going to get into this a little bit later, is this crowdsourcing material on social platforms. Everybody has a phone, everybody has a camera now, everybody has access to recording their really important events. And if you have a really good client base or a good customer base, they're taking pictures and they're doing photos. You can collect all that stuff and make something out of that as well. And that's actually really authentic because, you're not hiring a film crew to come in and make everything look super pretty. There's some grittiness there. There's some stuff that maybe is not perfect, but imperfections mean real.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, thanks, Justin. I think that hopefully that answers Jordan's question, and thanks for asking that, Jordan. Appreciate it. So I'm gonna bring on Adam to join us. So Adam, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
What's going on? Welcome on, and good to talk to you again.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, let's get right into it a little bit. So you're founder of Foghorn. You've been doing that for a long time now. Tell us a little bit about what you guys do and kind of your expertise.
Yeah, of course. So Foghorn is a digital marketing agency that helps outdoor and active lifestyle brands grow their direct-to-consumer business online. So we use pay-per-click advertising, search engine optimization, paid social, automated email, analytics, platforms like that, and some others to really help businesses scale their direct consumer side of their revenue stream. Yeah, that's really what we do mostly at Foghorn. We really love working with outdoor brands. We see outdoor brands as one of the really key economic engines for getting people outside and connecting with the outdoors, with public lands. And so I feel like the two are very much intertwined. And we love working with these sorts of purpose-driven brands to partner with and help them with the positive impact that they have on getting people outside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So for Foghorn, you guys position yourselves as kind of that lead guide for brands marching through this very saturated digital marketing world. Talk to us a little bit about the first steps for a small business to begin building an e-commerce platform for them.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'll try to break it into 4 parts. So the first is really the website. So it sounds obvious, but building an e-commerce capable website is really critical. Most of the small to medium-sized brands that we work with are on Shopify or WordPress, WooCommerce. Then some of the larger ones work with Magento, Demandware, other custom platforms. So there's really no one right answer, right? But that e-commerce capable website is really the foundation. So we're not a web dev shop. We typically step in and help once the website's complete or nearly done, and help brands grow from there. So then the next piece really, once the website's up, is trying to optimize the site for search engines and establish a strong digital presence. So this isn't necessarily buying ads or anything, but really just making sure that your website in the eyes of search engines is what you're trying to advertise, right? So being easily discoverable is really crucial. If you have physical stores too, also making sure those have a presence across Yelp and Google Maps and whatever other channels might be relevant. So that digital presence is really important as a foundational element. And then really trying to look to build a following from there. That following might be over social media, it might be through email, there might be other channels, but usually some social channels and email are the main pieces there. And then the challenge there is once you have a bit of a following, and how do you convert these folks into brand champions? And that we could have another hour-long conversation about. But really, I think that the key piece is just setting a foundation, getting these fundamentals in place. And then from there, you can look to use paid media to help scale, helping to drive a content strategy. But those are kind of the main pieces. So getting a website up, getting it dialed, getting a good digital presence, and then building a following. If you just launch a website and expect it to be on the first page of Google, you're probably going to be a little disappointed. Getting a website is sort of like going to a car dealership and buying a car off the lot and then taking it to the racetrack and expecting to win, right? Everyone has that stock model, right? So let's say you're on Shopify, everyone has that. So the challenge is really to get it dialed in, and that's kind of where we come in. So we're not the car dealer; we're kind of more of the modifying shop.
Yeah. So I mean, Justin here on the call tonight, he could create the coolest video possible and no one would ever see it. And I think that's where you guys and your expertise, this e-commerce discoverability through Google, through these search engines, you guys are truly experts in that. So one of your longtime clients is on tonight. Chris, you there still?
Yep.
So it's a pleasure to have you guys both on here. Talk just a little bit how you've sought out to help Trew flourish through their now digital only e-commerce business.
Yeah. So it's evolved over the years, but right now our main focus is helping to amplify their unique voice and their position in this crowded winter outerwear space. So the Trew team has since the beginning been really smart and scrappy about developing standout content. They have a really great and unique voice that I think has helped make our job a lot easier. So once they have the content, really, we've spent a lot of time and energy trying to figure out how we amplify that and get it out there. The other is we try to build hype around the seasonal collection. So when a collection comes out, there's a lot of interest and excitement about what do the new Trew kits look like and what are the colorways. And there's this natural excitement for winter, and so working to maximize that and maximize the impact of the drop and maximizing the just excitement around each collection is an annual challenge and thing that we've worked closely with Trew on. And then just helping with promotions. Promotions are a big part of any e-commerce business. So whether it's a sale or just a seasonal promotion or maybe a collaboration, trying to figure out how to make the most of those promotions, get them in the hands of the right people. Those are, I'd say, the main three areas that we're engaged with on a regular basis with Trew. Krista, do we miss anything?
That's a good summary of the relationship for sure. But the one thing I want to point out, a great benefit of working with Foghorn along those lines is we do like to be in the driver's seat with creative, especially because we think that we have a unique voice and we have a close relationship with our customers. But having someone like Foghorn or even, if you're a bigger company, someone in-house who understands marketing, digital marketing attribution and all the different kind of the safety net around your lead creative ads. Whenever we get a great ad, come up with some funny video or some great copy, it is never the highest converting ad, but it'll often be, some of the most engaging creative in our marketing toolkit. And so what working with Foghorn has taught us basically, you kind of have to have everything. You have to have that lead creative as well as the just dynamic product ad, because the product ads are just going to convert, even though to me, they're like, boring or like, why is someone just going to click on this product ad? Well, they've already been through our cycle of creativity. They've already engaged with our brand in all these different ways. But if you just have that and you don't have an agency or individuals like the guys at Foghorn making sure no one's falling through the cracks and showing up to people in different ways, then you're missing out on opportunities. So it's definitely been like a good relationship, how we kind of maximize each other's strengths in that regard.
That's awesome. So it really does. It sounds like you guys are you're a creative mastermind, and then Adam gets to come in and help you guys just execute this digital marketing strategy and bring it to life and make sure that it's being seen and people are aware and can drive sales through your forum. So that's really cool. So Adam, if you had a recommendation for someone that was trying to scale up their e-commerce business, what would you tell them?
Man, there's a lot of folks out there offering digital marketing services, and the way that we really differentiate from the majority of digital agencies is, our focus. Like since we've been doing this for 10 years, since day one, the focus has been outdoor and active lifestyle brands, purpose-driven brands that are selling direct to consumers. So we know this world so well. It's what we live and breathe. To me, this space is so complex, it's so nuanced, and it's ever evolving. That you really do have to just live and breathe it in order to stay ahead. Dipping a toe in or having digital be like a bolt-on or an afterthought, which I think there's a lot of great creative and PR agencies that are fantastic at what they do. But oftentimes they bolt on digital, and to me it's not a bolt-on. It's really like you got to be all in. So I think that's really the differentiator for us. Is it's just our main focus, and the outdoor space is one that we know really well, and often the target audience for our brands is our employees or people we know.
Yeah. Appreciate you coming on. We're going to bring all three of you guys back on. So Justin, Chris, and Adam, I'm going to hand it over to Zan. We got just kind of open forum. Let's chop it up a little bit and let's have some fun and kind of think outside the box a little bit. So Zan, I'm going to hand it over to you to kick us off.
Right on. Yeah, guys, I'm just going to rattle some questions at you. But we did have a question from Peter, and he wanted to know, how does philanthropy or the idea of doing good works play a role in your marketing strategies?
Yeah, that's a really good question, especially right now. And it's something we've been wrestling with for a while, because I think the most important thing that a brand can do is define what does that mean? Where do you want to focus in the realm of like corporate social responsibility? Do you want to focus on your supply chain, the environmental impact of your product? Or right now where our attention currently is in the health and safety and equality of your community. And we're actually taking the time right now to ask ourselves those questions. I think there's an obvious marketing benefit that is hard to ignore. If this conversation is about digital marketing, you have to consider your relationship with your customer. And why that would be important to customers is because customers want to spend their dollars with people that they believe have shared values. And so there is an economic reason to have a philanthropic component of your company, but you have to go about it in the right way. I think that the worry would be, bringing in a doing good or philanthropic component of your company that's not authentic to who you are to the world you want to create. And so that's kind of the conversation and the strategy we're embracing right now. And I think it's kind of a process. I mean, this idea of philanthropic, kind of private for-profit companies is not new, but it's fairly new. I mean, there's like some big noteworthy companies that have always led the charge in the environmental world and now the social and political world too. And then there's been some other smaller companies, that are now big, like Tom's, Warby Parker. So it's like an accepted model, but it's kind of new, I think, for our space, for small companies to have to consider and to start to consider those types of decisions. So I think it's a great question. I don't know if I answered it, but it's like, those are the questions we're asking ourselves. We know that that's important to our customers, and we know that's important to us as individuals. And so our mission is to figure out the best and most authentic way to tackle those questions.
Yeah, and I want to echo kind of what Chris was saying there. It's authenticity with philanthropy is everything. People can tell, oh, these guys are just doing this for marketing or something like that. And I think, that's where Cedar Nine, we love to, a lot of our content with brands revolves around their philanthropic endeavors. So we'll go follow a foundation that they were doing and then create social pieces for them to share and all that kind of stuff. And I think that makes it more real for a lot of people. In the past, before social media and all the digital stuff really blew up, you'd see like a line item like XX company donated $100,000 to this charity or something like that. And that would be it. And people would be like, oh, okay, they're charitable. But now you can actually see it. You can see the actual impact that brands can have. And I think nowadays, especially with the political climate and the COVID and everything, community building is extremely important. I think brands play a huge role in community building, and they can have a really positive and impactful change to society if they do it right.
Yeah, I think that's where Cedar Nine comes in a lot too, is just bringing in that authentic voice to kind of deliver that message for various companies in some form or fashion.
Right. There's a lot of companies that, they'll create content, and you mentioned Patagonia. Patagonia is one of those where they'll just create content and there won't be a Patagonia logo or a product or anything anywhere, maybe in the credits or something like that. Mm-hmm. But it's really subtle. And me and the people I work with are all in agreement that that's really powerful stuff. That shows that they're putting the marketing kind of aside, even though it still is marketing. They're putting the marketing aside, and the cause is coming before the brand. Yeah. And that just means a lot to people. And I think it, as we progress and everything, and people become more involved with brands and everything, it's just going to be more and more important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It shows the devotion behind it and puts the message first and foremost, not the product.
Right.
So I'm going to just jump right into this next question that kind of aligns really good with that question Peter had. In light of the current climate that we have in the U.S. right now regarding racism, diversity, and inclusivity all over the world, in fact, how do you guys foresee digital marketing playing a positive role in these changes that we see?
Yeah, I mean, digital marketing is kind of the lens into your company. And so it's the touch point that you have with existing customers and new customers to show them your values and what you believe in. And so as companies in the outdoor industry are doing the work now to reevaluate diversity, and it's kind of this long overdue moment. It's a sad and scary and kind of frightening time in our country, but the silver lining is that our undivided attention is on this issue. And so any business that is serious about authentic marketing and getting in front of people that we want to buy our products, we have to consider what the right way to get in front of those people. Like, even though we're out here trying to promote our business and to promote our products, I think more and more there'll be the question of what's the most responsible way we can do that. What kind of other social and community benefit can we build into those promotions? And again, I guess maybe this is another non-answer, but that's exactly what we're asking ourselves right now. We weren't asking ourselves that 6 months ago, unfortunately. And so now it's up to us to learn and understand how we can find more people of color in the outdoor industry, to help put them in the spotlight, help tell their stories. In that way, we're still marketing our brand and showing people who we are and our products being used in the environment. But there's like kind of at least a social benefit to what we're tuning our lens on, I guess.
Yeah, and I think kind of bouncing off of that a little bit, recognizing your brand's voice and like what your brand stands for, and keeping it within the realm of that is really important. As soon as you kind of sidestep that realm, and let's say you participate in something that's happening socially right now that's really outside of the realm of what your brand is and what it stands for, it's not going to look authentic. It's going to look like you're trying to co-opt something to get clicks or something like that. And I think you're seeing a lot of that right now with some lashback on social media with businesses posting stuff about the protests and all that kind of stuff. They're like, why do we care what you have to say? This has nothing to do with you or anything like that. So I think just really analyzing the environment and understanding who your customers are and where you stand within the social structure of things and where your brand stands, and then just keeping true to that is really what is important. And especially going back to communities, is helping out your community, helping out the people that are close to your brand, and just supporting them in the best ways that you can.
Brands can have such a huge impact on their surrounding communities, and I think it's always a tricky thing to figure out what exactly you're going to do, what you're going to focus on. But really, you look at like what some brands are able to do in their own communities and the impact they're able to make. It's really amazing when you see what can come out of it. So I really hope that we see a lot of the brands that have come out also trying to embrace like subject matter that covers a wide range. So I think this goes to the importance of diversity and inclusion in imagery, in models and activity. I think that's super important. But also, the outdoor industry is growing and it's a really powerful vehicle. And so trying to make sure that as the outdoor industry grows, that the marketing and the community engagement and all of the components that go along with it reflect that growing, changing group.
I think that's a really important point, Adam, that there's an economic reason to include diversity in marketing. We want to expand our audience and we want to reflect the changing demographic in our country. We should also understand that inclusion and diversity is just a smart way to reach new people and to celebrate all the different individuals that participate in these sports.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it back to that, Chris. We got a question from Zane in the audience. He's wondering, how do you think about balancing marketing efforts between paid advertising and experiential? And what is the key to an experiential marketing effort?
It's a good question.
That's a deep one.
Yeah, I guess I would say those paid and experiential aren't like one or the other. I think they kind of go hand in hand. Certainly a lot of small brands aren't doing the type of experiential marketing where we're like renting out Pioneer Square and building a playhouse full of snow or something like that. To me, for small, scrappy companies, I think of experiential marketing as like talking about the experience, showing the experience through videos like Cedar Nine does. And I guess to answer that specific question from Zane, I think paid, like the work that we do with Foghorn and Adam, always needs to be in support of some bigger effort. And so if you have one without the other, you're kind of like, what are you paying to direct people's attention to?
The paid advertising side, it's really only success. It only is going to be successful when you have something compelling to talk about, right? Is it new or newsworthy? If it's not, maybe we don't talk about anything this week until we have something new or newsworthy to talk about. And that new could be new content, could be new video. It could be an experiential event that you were a part of. It could be a new product, right? But I think that the paid without experiential is not going to really move the needle. Your brand efforts are a campfire, right? It's this ever-burning campfire. Paid is the fuel that turns it into a bonfire.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. And I think, it really depends on what your brand is and who the audience is and all that kind of stuff. That's really huge. One of the things that I kind of want to highlight with experiential stuff is bringing new people into the fold. So people who are not necessarily snowboarders, they maybe just hike a little bit. They get out in the outdoors, but they're not, extreme sports or anything like that. And I think a lot of the marketing in extreme sports is kind of geared towards the extreme aspect of it. Because one, it looks really cool on videos and people want to watch that stuff. But that connection between watching something like that and going like, oh, I could be doing that, is sometimes kind of half and half. It really depends on who your target audiences are and who your brand is too.
Sure. Yeah. That content definitely has to be relatable to whoever its intended audience is to be. Do you guys have any sort of tips for like a budget friendly digital marketing strategies that you guys would recommend for someone, whether they're trying to build a business or just build more of a following for themselves personally?
If you're not clear about what you're offering and you're not unique, then you're going to be lost in the noise. So really focusing on what makes you unique, what makes you different, what's our offering, why are we, why should someone care? That's something to really focus on and spend time to really nail that down. And before you get into paid stuff, and before you get into huge content development projects, make sure that that you're showing up on search engines, that you've got a good social media presence. Make sure that you're taking advantage of a lot of the free digital platforms out there. Neither of those costs anything except for your time and energy.
Yeah, what Adam said was right on the money. I think, social media and all the different platforms out there have basically enabled everybody to be their own marketing agency. You can really pump out a lot of content and connect with people in a way that you haven't been able to, in the past few decades. One of the kind of cheaper ways that you can do stuff is just tap your community. If you're building a community on social media, or even like with a community like this, or a community at the mountain shop or anything like that, using those people and talking with them and learning their stories and why they're in the community, and then sharing that with the rest of the community, just builds it up, and it kind of creates a movement. And then that movement will spread out to their friends, and then it kind of branches out that way. And that's something that, you don't really have to invest a lot of money into doing that. It's just time and conversing with people and just being real with people.
To reiterate that too, for stores especially, like the thing to remember about digital marketing is the expensive part of digital marketing is finding your audience and finding people. Like that's what a lot of people are paying for. You're like scouring the internet for new people. But if you already have a customer list, email is very cheap and very effective. It still is 18 or 20% of our revenue, especially in the winter, comes right through email. And then the organic fans you have on social media, people automatically think they have to pump money in to get money out. But really you're pumping money in to bring people into some kind of funnel or system that you should have running already. And so you need to build that foundation first, and then you can start pumping money in.
Yeah, creating like the path of least resistance for people to access whatever you're providing is really important. And one thing I want to add is also, a lot of people, especially people who are just starting out social accounts and everything, they're really fixated on subscriber counts and all that kind of stuff. And that stuff has its place, but really what's important is an active community. What you want is those active people who believe in who you are and believe in your brand, who what we call brand ambassadors, people who will just advocate for your brand without you really having to do anything. And if you can create like a foundation of those people, it kind of takes off on itself, and it's really powerful how it can happen.
So yeah, for our audience, sounds like a clear and unique voice, and then connecting and engaging with the community and having them engage with you sounds like the way to do it on a budget. I'm going to transition it to Marshall now. He's going to play a little Trew Gear marketing campaign video with the keep it thumbs up. Take it away, Marshall.
Yeah, so let's keep the discussion alive. I think we're going to switch it here. You guys have run in the past this keep it thumbs up hashtag campaign. So I think Liz is going to play one of your ambassador videos here, and let's take a look at that, and then we'll dive into some questions.
My name's Kellen Wilson. I'm from Colorado, and I like to ski.
Whether I'm out for a tour in the backcountry, building jumps with my friends, or just riding the resort, I like to keep it thumbs up.
Great. So Chris, So such a simple phrase, but so true to you guys at Trew. How have you guys kind of activated this campaign for your audience?
The Keep It Thumbs Up idea started as a way to encourage our ambassadors. And one thing that we found over the years is like, we need to be organized by providing these people with easy tools to promote our brand. Because when you send someone a jacket or a bib or give someone a discount, as much as they think they want to help your company, maybe they don't always know the best way. And so this Keep It Thumbs Up campaign, we got like 3 or 4 of our kind of core ambassadors to make that video. And then we sent those out to like the 20 or so ambassadors that are in like the next kind of outer circle. And we said, hey, this is the type of thing that really helps us, because this shows our audience who you guys are and who we are and what we're all about. So we really gave them little direction. And if you kind of surf around on, I guess those are on YouTube now, there's some funny ones. People's individual personalities really came out, and I thought that was really cool. Like, that was kind of the point of that campaign, is like providing little direction on our side and just seeing how different ambassadors keep a thumbs up. That was kind of the idea. And it's like low cost, super positive way to just give people a way that they can engage with our brand. That type of experimentation is free. You just come up with the idea and see if it catches hold with the ambassadors that support your brand. And then if they can make it go, then maybe it'll go for the next circle of ambassadors around them. And then maybe it'll get to customers and see if you can kind of get a campaign going.
I'm going to bring in Adam here. A hashtag over the years, actually over this last decade, has just like flourished. Talk to us a little bit, like a strategy around something like this. Like, what do you recommend?
Yeah, so hashtag campaigns are typically part of an organic social strategy. So you're looking for people that it'll resonate with, and for them to tag it so it bubbles up for the brand. Like Chris was saying, it's a bit of like casting out that idea and seeing if it takes hold. It's kind of the social media equivalent of developing a video and then just hoping it goes viral. And like Chris said, they're low cost, they're low barrier to entry. They can be good reflections of the brand. But I think it's important to think of it as a bit of an experiment and not think of it as like we're banking our whole season on this hashtag strategy. If you have a hashtag that does take off, then looking to create some campaigns around that, paid campaigns that really amplify that message. I think of it a little bit like try it organically in terms of fish it out and see if it works. And then if it does, maybe develop a more intentional paid strategy around that hashtag.
So Justin, I'm going to roll you in here. You've mentioned crowdsourcing videos earlier on in regards to budget, some more guerrilla marketing approaches. How do you foresee something as simple as this coming to life and curating something that has purpose and meaning and drives attention in video? Any thoughts there?
The personalities, what Chris and Adam were saying, the personalities will really drive this. And I think the more that their brand ambassadors are out there exposing themselves, like being vulnerable online and saying, hey, this is what I'm doing today, that just makes this more real. And it kind of goes back to the whole authenticity thing we were talking about. So adding more content that is of the individual people, like their day-to-day life, and just kind of providing that foundation for, oh, these are real people and this is real stuff, that's going to speak to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. So Adam and Justin, I want to hear from you guys. What do you guys do next with this?
More video. Yeah, just going more in depth. We like to approach projects as documentarians and almost like journalists. We would like to find those backstories. There's always an underlying story somewhere. And so when you talk to these people more, finding those underlying stories, those really real stories, and filming it and having them talk about it will just usually add a lot to a campaign. Takes it up the next level from being like a marketing push to being like, oh no, this is more of a movement. This is something that people can relate to on many different levels.
From my side, I would just say if we decided that this was a path to pursue, like if we really wanted to create a paid campaign around Keep It Thumbs Up, looking at what videos had the most interaction, like what people were commenting on and liking, and trying to figure out why, what was it about those videos that was kind of a common thread. And then trying to craft some sort of a customer-centric version of this campaign, where we maybe try to have a contest, right, where people submit their version of it, right? So you kind of have like your template, your ideal version, and you use that as an inspiration for people, and trying to do something that's fun, that there's a low barrier, right, and have some sort of a reward that's of interest. It could be product, or it could just be posting on, your channel, because Trew has a lot more followers than most people do. So I just trying to think about, how do we take this thing that was for ambassadors? How do we learn from it and figure out what worked, and how can we then translate that into something that's more consumer centric, that gets people engaged?
I love it, guys. So I'm going to hand it back over to Zan. Zan's got a few more questions for us before we close up tonight. This time focused a little bit more on the future of Trew. So Zan, I'm going to hand it back over to you.
So yeah, basically kind of going off that campaign and running into a theoretical future for Trew Gear. If you guys kind of planned to build some sort of next campaign for Trew Gear, where would you start?
Sure. So, I mean, the place I would start is, what season is it? The seasonal piece is really important because it gives context for what we're talking about. What are the products that we want to focus on? What are the things that we want to be highlighted in this campaign? And then what's the story? Is it about a certain place or a certain feeling or athletes in this case? But this is, an exercise that an in-house branding team or a branding agency or a digital agency would think through to try to figure out, where do we jump off from?
Right. I agree with everything that Adam said. It's really about knowing who your audience is and looking at the data. Social media and all these different distribution streams can really tell you who your audience is and what's working and what's not working. But what I really enjoy about brands is just like the off-brand stuff, like producing a documentary series about a skier somewhere. Maybe they're with Trew, maybe they're not, but they embody what Trew is all about. And I think, finding those type of people and telling those types of stories are really powerful. And that's what kind of converts a lot of people.
I would just add to one of my favorite tools. Whenever we're brainstorming digital marketing in the office, I always start out by asking ourselves, what do we want people to know? What do we want them to feel? And what do we want them to do? So know, feel, do. Using the fall as an example, we want people to know that we have new inventory of this product. We want them to feel really excited about the coming winter and to feel like they need to get out all their gear, wax up their skis, check on their outerwear. And what do we want them to do? We want them to buy product. And so if you think about know, feel, do in the context of a campaign, that can inform your creative, and there has to be something that you want them to know. And then ultimately there's something that you want them to do. And so the keep it thumbs up thing, that was primarily a strategy where we just wanted to try to get a bunch of content that we weren't making so we could get it for free. And so that's kind of like that strategy. And then let's get all the content in and see what we got. And if there's something in there, like this Kellen video is one of the best, what we know from watching that is that Trew is a brand that supports, people who love skiing and snowboarding. And then the do component on this, I guess, is share and watch and talk about it. This one isn't like a converting piece of content or campaign. So yeah, that no, feel, do strategy has been really effective. We've been doing that for years.
Yeah, I like that. Super, super simple and covers pretty much all your bases. And then Adam pretty much touched on kind of the best way to take a campaign like that and put it into e-commerce would be doing a contest or something like that, which would turn that around and make it so people are actually buying products. To finish off the night, I'm going to start it with you, Chris. If you had a recommendation to lend from your experience to the other two guys joining the panel tonight, what would you tell them?
And no, feel, do pieces.
Right, gotta.
I took notes on that.
That one.
I wrote that too.
Yeah, no, I think you just want to know why people would engage with your brand or follow your agency or work with your agency, and you want to keep reinforcing that ideal. That's our special power as small companies and small entrepreneurs. Is the bigger you are, maybe the more disconnected you get from that relationship. And so it's our superpower that we want to keep reinforcing.
What about you, Justin? If you had any piece of advice or anything to lend from your experience to the other two guests?
Yeah, I think it's just be bold. I think the more chances you take and the more on the edge that you live, that's where all the cool things happen. It's really kind of looking into yourself and finding that edge where your brand can playing around that.
I like that. Very fitting to the outdoor industry. Lastly, you, Adam, what kind of advice do you have for Chris and Justin here?
I really want to encourage folks to think about what kinds of end results they want to have. There's so many different kinds of ad formats out now that didn't exist even 6 months ago. So I think overall, I just say, when you're in that brainstorming phase, think about what are the end places that we're going to put this and how do we want them to look, and try to think through that early on, because when that happens, typically the results are a lot stronger.
Awesome. All three of you guys, great advice. I definitely took some notes throughout this episode. That is our show. So thank you, Chris, Adam, and Justin for coming out for our show and sharing your digital marketing knowledge and experience with us. You're all masters of your craft, and we're stoked to have you on our show.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Totally stoked to be here.
That is the end of this episode. Huge thank you to Chris, Adam, and Justin. We greatly appreciate you all for taking the time to come on our show and for sharing your knowledge with us and our community. We look forward to seeing more of you all, your incredible content, and products in the future. We'd also like to thank Trew Gear, Foghorn Labs, and Cedar Nine Productions, all of those on and off screen who make this show possible, and of course you, our viewers. Without you, there is no show. So please give us your feedback. Let us know what you enjoyed and what we can improve on. Also, if you enjoyed the show, please share it with others so that we can continue to educate, stoke, and inspire more individuals and build our small business and adventure communities. Lastly, a reminder, support your local small businesses. They are the lifeblood of our community and need your support now more than ever.
Now get out, get dirty, and go adventure together.